You can't rush good beadwork. You can't hurry it. The history of our beadwork is the history of the Cherokee people. The blending of cultures, creating this unique art form. Then came the Trail of Tears. The beadwork just, for all intents and purposes, essentially stopped being created. It was almost a lost art form, and is in the process of being revived. I'm Martha Berry, and I do beadwork. I do period authentic Cherokee beadwork, the kind that was produced by Cherokee and other Southeastern Woodlands women between about the end of the 1700s, late 1700s, and the removal in the 1830s. And I use authentic materials, and I'm kind of steeped in the past. I really wanted to know what the women in my Cherokee family were like, because they had all passed away before I was born. And I wanted to know all these little things like how did their hands look when they sewed on a button or kneaded bread dough or whatever it was that they did. I just wanted to know those things. I had always used a needle and thread. I had learned to embroider at a very young age, made my own clothes. So I knew how to use needle and thread. And I thought, well, I'll take those skills and put them to use to try to make this connect, this bonding with my ancestors. So I go to the hobby shop and I buy a stack of books on how to do Native American beadwork. I went home and I started teaching myself to do beadwork. The beadwork that I was learning was beadwork from the Plains Nations, which are the great horse cultures that developed in the Great Plains of the United States. But our people were the Southeastern tribes, the Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole, and some of the smaller tribes of the Southeast. There were no books on Southeastern beadwork. There were no classes. There were no teachers. Hardly anybody was doing it, but I was aware of the artifacts because I'd studied history. And I began to collect photographs, but they were just hard to find. They were hard to come by. But I had to have more photographs. And so I wrote the Smithsonian and the Peabody and all the big museums back east and asked them to send me photographs of Cherokee beadwork.
You're scared to death to even write them.
I was. I don't have a college degree. And here I'm writing curators. I learned a couple of things. One is that all of the beaded artifacts were from pre-removal dates, and they were all this old, classic Southeastern style. But all of the photographs of Cherokees wearing beadwork were after 1922, and in all of them, they were all wearing Plains beadwork. It was this sort of amazing realization. Clearly, this exquisite old art form had just vanished. And I thought, how on earth does something as beautiful as that just disappear? The other thing I learned was how gracious the people at the Smithsonian can be. They sent me an application for a grant to study for 3 weeks at the museum there and to examine their artifacts. And that was a real groundbreaker. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this. I had my magnifying glass and I realized what I was looking at, that this is not like anything else I've ever seen. And I said, oh my God. It was a real aha moment because I discovered exactly the proportions of the bags and the colors that they used and a couple of stitch techniques that you can't tell from a photograph. Just from looking at it and studying it, we know was important to them. They had these new, what was to them, state-of-the-art materials, but they didn't just use European designs. They used ancient mound builder and Mississippian designs. They merged them into this unique art form that is a visual metaphor for the time in which it was created, a time when we were blending our blood. We were blending our way of governance. So it was important that they took the best of both worlds to create something unique and something absolutely beautiful. And I think that that's being Cherokee. That's what we've always done. We've taken the hard knocks and not just survived, but thrived. And to be able to see that in that beadwork and then reproduce it in honor of those ancestors is an honor to me, to just be able to do that. This is the two-needle applique technique, and we use it because we use curvilinear designs, meaning lines that curved. And you can do the designs using straight lines of beads. My primary focus is on the pieces that were period authentic. Bandolier bags, which are the bags that have a long strap that starts on your shoulder, and half of the strap goes across the chest, half goes across the back, and the pouch rests on the opposite hip. Ceremonial sashes, which are basically the strap of a bandolier bag, the little small ladies' purses, moccasins, and belts. We did a lot of floral motifs, which involved these rounded petals of flowers and things like that, vines, things like that. And even the symbols that we used that were iconographic in nature and were the icons from the mounds still were created in these flowing movements. I was very blessed in 2013 to be designated a Cherokee National Treasure. When you're not, and you think that would just be the culmination of everything, you know, if I could just achieve that somehow, I could just coast, you know. And it was just the opposite emotion. It is a huge honor, but it is also a challenge because I feel more than ever I need to continue to grow and continue to improve my work and continue to push the revival and continue to teach because I represent the Cherokee Nation now.